Hello everyone, I'm Forrest McFreelava, and this is Speedplay France and Stellaris number 18. We left off starting our new campaign of just forcing other species to abandon their own worlds. Increased fertility from Neo the French, who are our offshoot brethren off on one of our worlds from where we decided to make people who didn't suit their own world in order to get them to move to different worlds, but instead we just kind of ended up making them make themselves into a more suitable variety of themselves. We also conquered some peoples and then started purging all of them since they're kind of useless at this point. It's a little bit bad that we're kind of just genociding an entire species off of the universe. However, they don't really provide us anything and just lower our tech cost. The fact that we got an entirely new world out of them just increases our tech cost by something like 300 per tech point, and technologies at this point cost something like 7,000 tech points. So it's just ridiculous. Maybe my math is off a little bit, but it's just generally a large amount. And what we're going to be doing with the rest of these places is we're going to try to preserve most species, at least in some form or another, unlike that one we just took over and are completely genociding. Mainly through their capital worlds. We're going to be getting them to seize, or they're going to cede their capital worlds to us, ideally, and all of their non-capital worlds that they've just sort of colonized. More Neo-French massacred, that's not entirely great. All of their colonial worlds, since they would just lower our rate of technological progress if we took them over directly, and would cost more war score for us to take over directly, we're just going to get them to abandon all those worlds, and I guess more or less go off into the void of space and die. I'm not really sure what happens to populations when you make them abandon their whole world. But yeah, I suppose that's just kind of left kind of in the dark by the game, more or less purposefully. I couldn't tell you what happens with that. It would be interesting if they were to try to immigrate, but no, I guess they don't even get the opportunity to do so. When the treaty is signed, they are all just killed. Or something. It's kind of left in the dark. At any rate, there we go. All those worlds, once populated, now abandoned. Several others not really... Yeah, no, I guess it's just not really addressed. We go ahead and add those new worlds to our Viceroyalty. Go ahead and add all that together. And we're going to just try to keep doing that as much as possible. One of the main things that we're focusing on nowadays as an empire is going to be really just progressing technologically as quickly as we can while maintaining our position as just the galactic hegemon. Now, the way we're going to really do this is by leaving quite a few unhappy, more often than not, enslaved peoples throughout the empire, simply because we do need their energy income, and to an extent their metal income, although metal we really have in just grotesque levels of just abundance and whatnot. We do go ahead and break our vassalization of our one vassal, since they are protectorate and thus cannot be incorporated at any point, so we're probably just going to have to annex or just force them all to cede all of their lands at some later point. Our new well, yeah, that's basically it. So we're just going to try to get as much science as possible and advance scientifically as quickly as possible as a tertiary goal, with our main goal, of course, being not to ever be in a place where we can be defeated. The obvious way to go about this is going to be to just destroy every other independent state in the galaxy. And, well, we have the military to do that, and we can fund it so long as we have so many unhappy peoples. It's kind of a process that can't really be completely resolved until we manage to get to the final conclusive elements of it, which is going to come at first when we conquer the galaxy. And I know it's redundant, but it's kind of one of those things where A is reliant upon B, is reliant upon C, is reliant upon D, is reliant upon A. So as we keep inching ourselves more in the direction we're trying to go, we should be getting more rapid progress as time goes on. We also resettle one pop over to a desert world, and now we're going to go ahead and create him into a new desert, the French. And since it's only one, the French, it'll be done in a month. And so hopefully that's done now. We're just trying to get as many of the Frenches as we can on various worlds. Hopefully that they will eventually, come to be able to inhabit and inhabit well. The more the French there are in the galaxy, the better. We are a xenophobic species, so more the French is better the French. And really, just a lower proportion of other races is better. Although, quite frankly, as long as they're happy, I don't really mind their presence. It's just if they become unhappy and thus threaten the established order that we need to really concern ourselves with, I guess, minority alien species, or, well, really majority alien species, since we are only 10% of the Empire at this point. Nevertheless, we are pressing forward into other empires, attacking them, trying to conquer their worlds, and then eventually burn them down. Our armies are doing decently well. We have 4 armies at this point. We used to only have 2, and then one of them was destroyed in the last war, so we built up 3 new ones to replace them. And we have really the commanding position over the galaxy that we can just bring any amount of force that we deem necessary or convenient to any fight anywhere in the galaxy at any point. We do occasionally have to build some new wormhole stations, such as what we did before this war. Other than that, though, we're more or less free to do whatever we would like wherever we would like to. And we're taking advantage of that to just really cement the universe in our image, which is going to mainly mean under our dominion. We might have to bring some additional forces over to combat that 10k strength fleet, since we are not known for our scientific prowess primarily, and that 10k fleet might be stronger than our 12k. It's flying off into the distance. One of our fleets is following it, which is pretty decent. Hopefully they'll eventually meet them, and incredibly hopefully they will win. So it looks as though it's roughly equal or equivalent odds with our 10k fleet and their once 10k fleet. They are definitely losing that. We also have a 12k fleet in there too. So it looks as though we handled that pretty well. Their 1.2k fleet is retreating, and they surrendered, abandoning several of the worlds and giving over 2 of them to our direct control. And hopefully that will be just how the history of the galaxy progresses from this point onward. Apparently we cannot access these ships, which is a little unfortunate. We can maybe start shipping more people from one world to another. When I said desert the French, I meant arid the French, as we are just trying to get our people onto as many worlds as possible and able to happily settle everywhere they can. And, alright. We also have a few new very good researchers we can get, so we go ahead and hire them on as scientists. They had the genius trait or some trait similar to that, which increases all tech's rates of research by, I believe, 10%, which is really nice, and I'm definitely happy to have as additional researchers, simply because they will almost certainly increase the research speed of any technology. We do go ahead and purge some unhappy the Frenches and other Frenches, neo-Frenches and whatnot. We can research synthetics and get android armies and things like that, and even make synthetic pops. So that would be good. It would go ahead and get rid of a lot of the really negative aspects of our empire, mainly being terribly unhappy peoples. It would be nice to people our empire with more happy people just to prevent revolts. Admittedly, with synthetics, we do run the risk that they will have a robot uprising as our end-game crisis. Yet ultimately, the Quifroz star hegemony has more droids and robotic pops than we do, so it would probably affect them more poorly than it would affect us, and our navy is just massively powerful anyway, so it's not as though I really worry about the risk of a robotic rebellion. At this point, I think we can fairly safely meet head-on any endgame crisis, and even the rest of the galaxy together. In fact, it would be quite nice if an endgame crisis occurred and killed off the rest of the galaxy for us, and then we could just sweep in and clear it off. That would be ideal. We're also finally getting that 6,000 strength precursor fleet to just move around and explore the portions of the galaxy we haven't already. All very vital things. We do go ahead and just kind of look around and see if there's anyone left that we can go to war with at the moment, but we do seem to have truces with pretty much everybody, and probably will continue to until at least the end of this episode. At any rate, though, we have definitely, a few episodes ago, we realized that we were at the point where we almost certainly were the dominant force in the universe and could realistically conquer it. At this point, not only is that true, but we can realistically conquer it in the very near future. Alright, so that all said, it's mainly just more of the same, trying to build new Frenches, or I guess modify new French people to send them to various worlds. We do go ahead and just resettle these 2 pops. We're hopefully going to go ahead and convert them into Arctic French. And it seems as though a lot of our various French pops are disappearing. We're also going to purge some of the natives since they're so terribly unhappy. That group is moving over to Earth, weirdly enough, even though they are now Arctic French. However, that does seem to indicate that they can move, which is good, as it does seem to indicate that they are treated as though they are primary species. We do go ahead and send that 6,000 fleet off on its exploratory mission. And yeah, hopefully once we get into a position where we can declare a further war, we'll just keep purging the galaxy of all non-French life, except for their capital worlds, which we will keep more or less as massive slave colonies and little outposts of our control and dominion. Which, if that sounds kind of brutally dark, I suppose it is. We've also discovered another fallen empire who is superior to us and gives us a good target for the combined weight of our navy, except portions of our navy are trapped in one of the worlds we conquered, so we'll have to come back to them. We're back up to 1,222 population, despite the fact that we purged 250 a little while ago. We are only 10% of the population of our entire empire. We are now the 4th largest species group in the galaxy, hopefully working our way up to number 1. And we do definitely have a dominating position in that galaxy. Thank you very much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back hopefully tomorrow with more.